calling from a 256 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
This is Jacob from Alabama.
Jacob from Alabama. Is it from the Valley Labor Report?
The very same.
Wow.
Hello, Jacob.
Hi, Jacob.
Nice to hear from you again.
Yeah. Good to call in. Appreciate you taking my call. I just wanted to see if y'all had heard about the child labor situation in Alabama yet.
No.
You hadn't seen that? Well, on Friday there was a Reuters report about children as young as 12 working in a Montgomery Hyundai parts manufacturing plant that a few Reuters reporters did a story on. They found out because one of the children who was working at this plant went missing, and so there was an Amber Alert, and that they were able to find the child, find the person's parents, and then they were able to talk to other people in the plant from there who said that there are dozens of children working at this parts manufacturing plant that has been fined by OSHA since 2013.
What?
In the amount of $50,000. Multiple OSHA complaints, and the most recent one was just earlier this year. And among some of the safety hazards are amputation hazards at this plant, where dozens of children are allegedly working, have been allegedly working. And this is and the thing that really stuck out to me about this story, that it seems like I don't understand why it's not getting more attention, or why it's really going underappreciated. The police who found this girl, this 12-year-old girl who is working there, they don't have the jurisdiction to prosecute child labor cases. So they sent it to the Attorney General's office in February. In February, 5 months ago, they sent this to the Alabama Attorney General's office. And when the Reuters reporters contacted the AG's office, they had nothing to say to them about it. They gave no indication that there were any pending or potential lawsuits or criminal charges for allowing 12-year-old children to work in places with amputation hazards. And since the report came out early on Friday, the Attorney General has not said anything. There's been no news statement. There's been no tweet, no press release, absolutely nothing. And just a couple of hours ago, his personal Twitter account was plugging this form that he's got for Alabama citizens to share their story if they have been wrongfully blocked or censored on Twitter.
Wow.
That's insane.
I wonder, is there some type of federal, is there opportunity for federal, intervention here?
Oh, I mean, well, child labor laws are a federal thing as well as a state thing. I mean, there are state laws somehow on the books in Alabama about child labor as well. But it's definitely a federal law. And so if, in the same way that, district attorneys, if they don't prosecute cases, it can go up to the Attorney General, I would think that Merrick Garland could do something about it if he wanted. But that hadn't even crossed my mind. But the Alabama Attorney General has had this for 5 months. And when the news broke about Roe v. Wade being overturned, it took him 82 minutes to file for relief or whatever, because of the abortion laws in Alabama that have absolutely there are zero exceptions in the Alabama law except for the life of the mother. So no exceptions for incest, rape, children, any of that. 82 minutes after Roe v. Wade was overturned, he's filing for the cases to be removed. And before lunchtime, the judge did. The judge vacated the case and said it's not applicable anymore. Roe v. Wade's been overturned. And so by lunch on the day that Roe v. Wade was overturned, it was illegal to get an abortion in Alabama. But he's had this case for 5 months.
Yeah.
And nothing.
Well, the good news is that it seems like from the Washington Post piece that the Alabama Department of Labor is now coordinating with the U.S. Labor Department. So at least somebody federally is taking a look.
Right.
So, but I mean, correct. Like, you have to wonder, like, what leads to that kind of slow uptake? Because this is the first. I'm looking at this is Hyundai's first assembly and manufacturing plant in the United States, and you wonder, like, why do they pick Alabama or certain places like for their factories? It's because they might know that they can get away with certain abuses like this that help their bottom line.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's super common to say that Alabama, Mississippi is the last stop on the way to Mexico. Just for a myriad of reasons, even just the less nefarious business reasons that the cost of living is lower, and so you have to pay people less money for them to have a similar quality of life than you do in New York. I mean, even just on like so the investment is just not nearly as there. And of course, unions aren't as strong here, and of course, you've got right to work laws and unfriendly politicians for unions here in the state, and people who will oppose project labor agreements and things like this. So but obviously, things like this. 5 months and $50,000 of OSHA violations. That's $50,000, not a lot to Hyundai, but $50,000 in OSHA violations is a significant amount when we're talking about OSHA, because they never do anything.
Yeah, it takes a lot. You gotta screw up bad to get that type of. Well, appreciate the call. We'll look into it. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow.
I had a couple of plugs for some folks here in Alabama that are asking for support. If you give me the time, the Warrior Met strike has been ongoing for like 16 months or so, and the most recent development is that now Warrior Met is trying to find scabs using a different name under Cole LLC. And so they've got an email and a phone number that you can, that they're asking for applications. Hayden Wright on Twitter has retweeted it. So
wait a second.
as well as Elise Joshi.
Let me ask you this.
So if anybody wants to send in a very, very real application.
Jacob, let me ask you this. The reason why they would call themselves Cole LLC, is that what it is?
Yes, Cole LLC.
The reason why they would do that is because they don't want activists, like people listening to this show, to send in fake resumes or to make applications where people aren't intending to actually work there, because that would gum up their works and make it harder for them to hire scab labor. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. They don't want people to understand that Cole LLC is actually Warrior Met Coal, and the jobs that they're applying for are scab jobs in Alabama where the workers are on strike. We're actually only 100 of
Jacob,
the...
I just want to make sure I understand this. And so you're telling me that somebody on Twitter has posted the email address for this Cole LLC.
And the phone number.
And the phone number. And the concern that people would have if they were to go to this Twitter handle, what handle did you say it was?
Yeah, the Twitter handle is Hayden Wright and Elise Joshi.
I got it. HAEDENWRIGHT.
All right. Well, okay. We will put that Twitter up there so that people understand if you're not applying for real for this scab job, this is where you wouldn't go to get the email address.
Yes.
Because why would you apply for that job? Right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Exactly.
Because that would end up making it very difficult for them to hire scabs, because just the amount of work associated with having to weed through all the resumes, you wouldn't know which one was real.
Inefficient scab.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just put that, put a link to those Twitter feeds so that people don't make the mistake of accidentally applying for a scab job there, because that would mess up.
Wouldn't want people to do that.
Cole
Never.
LLC, and actually, which is Warrior Met. They must be having problems with this. It sounds like. It sounds like they really don't want people to do that. But anyway.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like they definitely wouldn't want to do that. And then there were also 2 Starbucks workers in Scottsboro, Alabama, who were fired, and the Birmingham DSA is raising money for them on Twitter. You can find them at BHAM DSA, BHAM DSA on Twitter if you want to donate to the Scottsboro Starbucks Workers Relief Fund. A couple of them were fired, and some of the others are looking at cut hours. So.
All right. Well, we will put that up there.
Much appreciated.
Appreciate the call, Jacob.
Yep.
Folks can check
Thanks,
out
Sam.
the Valley
Bye.
Labor Report. We'll put a link into that as well, in the blog and the YouTube. All the descriptions, all the things.
Starbucks is really getting on it with the. I just donated to a store in Pennsylvania that they had repairs that were long-standing requests from the workers, and then they unionized, and finally it's time to shut down the store. Nobody gets pay, so to do those repairs. So I just retweeted that from the majority account, the Scottsboro, Alabama Starbucks.
Chipotle did that up in Augusta, Maine, too. Apparently, some version of that. Also, the first Trader Joe's is having a union vote in Hadley, Massachusetts. We had mentioned that at the top of the show. People should check that out.